guys, this is Wenzes. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about personal development for INFJs and how to create an epic life on your terms. We as INFJs have a hard time pushing forward. It's our inferior function. It's that SE component that's keeping us back in a lot of ways. On the other hand, we are amazing visionaries because our NI is strong and it can withhold any kind of things that are happening outside of us. So how are we using this to our advantage? How are we getting into a state of mind that allows us to continuously grow, expand our life, and live that epic life we're all looking for? A great way to approach this is the method by David R. Hawkins, power versus force. It's a very abstract concept, but it works incredibly well for INFJs. We talked about it in one of the last videos and you had so much feedback of you wanted to hear more about this. And today I want to give you a quick insight into how to turn force into power. How when you don't know how to tap into power, you can bypass a lot of the steps in order to see great first progress that allows you to move on, and then we can go deeper into this. Remember, if you want my help with this process, then work with me privately. All the information you find below. If you haven't watched the video where I talk about the concept of power versus force, it's pretty much saying that if you do something out of force in a way of doing something that you know you cannot do for the rest of your life, it's pushing against something. It's doing something that isn't in alignment with who you are, you're not in flow, and you recognize how you continuously do something and your energy gets drained more and more. That's going for a job that doesn't make you happy, where you don't get the appreciation you want. It's a place where you cannot really grow. And a lot of INFJs know that this is happening, so they're not even going towards those things that are all about force. So we feel numb and we feel stuck and we don't know where to go. When in the end, the solution is always power. Find a way to tap into your intrinsic power to continuously do things that re-energize you so you get to grow over and over again and you get excited about the process. If you want to know more about this, watch the video I did on this topic, but watch it after this one because here I will tell you how to turn that force into power. So we as INFJs are very abstract thinkers, and that helps us immensely in this process because the point is to understand what is force and what is power, to distinguish between those two, to know when we're growing and we're doing something out of an intrinsic feeling, out of an inspirational step. It's not something you do because you feel like others are expecting this of you or this is what society wants from you. It happens because it's all natural to you. And very often we don't know exactly how to do this. The point is this: take on a little bit of force when you're in this position. Meaning, let's say you want to write a book and you feel like you want to get into a position where everything is happening in flow. It's your way of thinking. It's your kind of genre. It's your kind of style, but you don't know exactly what that is. A great way to find that out is to say, let me tap into force a little bit more than I normally would. Because what happens is, yes, you put some kind of effort forward that you know you're not going to be able to do for the rest of your life. We've done this. We talked about how this is not going to be your solution. But here's something that not many people know. When you tap into this and you do something knowing I can only do this for a couple of weeks, or I can only do this at the expense of something else, so of course this is not the best solution and this is not something I will do forever, it will give you a feedback from your environment. And that feedback is what we're looking for. It's not about the information, it's about the emotional state. So if you say, I'm going to write pages, and it's not about finding the right genre because I cannot do this. All I know is I can force myself a little bit. I can do a little bit of willpower over and over again. What happens is you put something out and you get something back. It's an energetic thing. This works when you say, okay, I'm writing a book, but this also works if you say, I'm going to continuously apply for jobs. You will get some feedback from your environment that you couldn't have gotten before because you haven't put in the work. You do this and then something happens. The people around you act differently. New dynamics happen. So if you, for example, go out of your way and you say, okay, I'm going to throw a birthday party. We're not talking about COVID situation here. Just think in a theoretical space. You do that and you know, I'm not a person who can continuously throw birthday parties because this takes a lot of my energy. I'm not getting back what I want. And it's a lot of energy for something where I'm going to get a feedback. I'm going to get some kind of energy back, but it's not enough. but we don't need it to be enough. We just need to feel it. When you throw that party and you throw, let's say, a second party because at the first party nobody shows up because nobody knows that you're doing something, and nobody's in a place where they think that you're known to throw birthday parties or you're good at it or whatever it is. You do this a couple of times, people will start showing up. First there'll be 5 people, then it'll be 7 people, then it'll be 10 people. And you might say, okay, am I really doing this in order to get 10 people to my party? Like, who cares? Maybe they don't even want to be here. And it's so much energy and it's so much force and I get drained so much. Why do this? Because once you do this and the 10 people show up, you will feel a different dynamic. You will feel a dynamic of, I'm surrounded by 10 people who want to be close to me. That is the energy that you're going to feel. And you're going to find a way how this feels good to you. And the best part about it, as INFJs, we can memorize this feeling. See, that is the biggest step here. That is the thing to remember. You put in force, you know that this is not something you can do forever, but through that, you get to create a new dynamic, a new energy, a new feedback from your environment. This works with that birthday party situation. This also works for saying I'm going to apply and work at a place where I know I couldn't do this for the rest of my life because it's draining, it's not exactly who I want to be. But through that process, you're automatically surrounded by way more productive people. You're way more surrounded by people who are much more ahead in their own journey, because this might not be the place for you, but you feel the energy of people who are way more on their way, who are tapping way more into their personal power. Because yes, for you, it's force to put yourself in a situation which isn't necessarily for you. But automatically, in every single place where more energy is happening, you automatically are feeling a higher sense of energy. Why is that so important? You go to that job, you do the things that are necessary to go through there to grow, and you do that through force. You feel that energy, and it's an energy you've never felt before. This is all part of a scale of consciousness and the law of vibration. It's all part of the power versus force mythology by David R. Hawkins. He's a very established writer, spiritual teacher. He has been knighted. So there has been a lot of research on this. This is not just some esoteric thing that doesn't work. With every level of consciousness, there is a higher energy there. There's more you can achieve. Things are happening much easier for you because you intrinsically have more energy to give. And that's the concept of doing something where your cup of energy runs over. Because every single time you get to do something that re-energizes you, it's like your cup of energy gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and you get to keep on giving, and it's a positive circle that benefits you and others. So back now to the forceful situation, when we don't know how to tap into that power, because we don't know how that energy is going to feel. We don't know how the next level of energy is going to feel like. So it's hard to tap into power right away. But if you have a chance to put yourself in that force seat to say, okay, I'm going to do something for a while, just so I get to experience what that energy is like. I might have only achieved it through force, but now that I have an image of it, I can let go of the force. And that's the fun part. That's the interesting one. And that's what we INFJs can really master and have immense fun with. So you go to that job, you experience that energy, and because you experience it, you can then say, okay, at some point I'm going to let go of that force and I'm going to do something that's way more in alignment with what I want. But now that I have experienced the higher level of energy, I can fill that up with my own energy, with my own presence, with my own gifts. We probably wouldn't have been able to tap into this before or in an easy way because none of this has been conscious to us yet. It has been out there, we've never felt it. But we as INFJs are immensely great at understanding emotional atmospheres and replaying them. That's why we can imitate people really easily. That's why we can create harmony in a given situation, because we understand what kind of energy thing is going on there. We understand the atmosphere and we can adapt to that. So once you've seen it, once you've felt what the next level of energy is all about, you You can let go of that force thing. You can say, okay, I'm planning to leave that job. So if I imagine myself letting go of this, I'm automatically going to find a new way of reaching that energy level without putting force forward. Because then I can just calm down. I can say, I'm not going to push forward into one of those directions that causes me to do things out of force. No, I will allow my natural energy to just fill that space up. I will have to let go of certain things. I will have to adapt to certain things, but you will be able to do that. You just have to say, okay, I'm trying to replay that emotional state, and I'm doing that without putting in all that effort. You just stop. You minimize. If you're writing a book, you stop writing the things you've been writing that weren't the right thing. But since you've been doing this in the past, and since you've known what kind of energy that evokes in you, you automatically are going to get a download of what to do next that is intrinsically in alignment with you. You will know that. That's an INFJ quality that is really, really great and that we should take advantage of. Same thing goes for the party situation. You throw 1, 2, 3 parties and you get to experience how it is that 10 people want to be around you at the same time. How you act within such a situation, how that makes you feel, what kind of energy has actually been put forward into your space. You're getting that back and it's positive energy. It's just that you had to do certain steps you don't want to be doing for the rest of your life. You don't want to be throwing those parties over and over again. But now that you've experienced how it would feel like to have this kind of energy towards you in a positive way, you can hold on to it. You can say, now I stop throwing those parties. I will sit back. I will imagine this emotional state back because we know we can do this. This is why we get obsessed over people, why we get obsessed over situations, because we stay in this moment and we remember how it felt like. You remember how this feels like without putting in the force, and so your system will find a way how to fill that space up without tapping into force, but by going inside and finding out what is the next inspired action that I can take that will fill that space up. Now I know how it feels like, and I'm going to find a way to fill it up. Let me know in the comments if you want to learn more about the scale of consciousness and the law of vibration and how it applies to INFJs. I would love to do more videos on this if you're interested, so let me know in the comments. Remember, if you want my personal help with this process, then work with me one-on-one. All the information you find below. And if you want to watch another video now that is in alignment with today's topic, then watch the video Power versus Force. Like always, guys, I wish you a wonderful day, a great week, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.